Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our part two of our Refocus and Rebuilding a Joyful Homeschool Year workshop. For those of you who don't know me or haven't heard of me or didn't come to last week's meeting or last month's meeting, I'm Susie Lovers. I'm a Christian life coach for homeschool moms, and I'm passionate about supporting Christian homeschool moms like you. I'm also a graduated homeschool mom of 7, and my mission is to help you navigate the challenges of homeschooling with grace, organization, and joy. I'm thrilled to announce that as a thank you for your commitment to coming to this workshop, I'm offering each of you a free one-on-one coaching session. This is a great opportunity for you to dive deeper into your unique homeschooling needs and journey, um, and to address specific challenges that you may have, or even create a personalized plan for the upcoming year, or even as the year goes on, to help you get through some wrinkles that you may encounter. I'll share more details on how to book your session towards the end of today's workshop. Also, I'd like to invite you to my Facebook. Uh, it's like a Facebook group, I guess it's called. And there I have people I post regularly, and you can ask questions. And as your year goes on, as questions come up, you can get them answered. I'll be there to answer them for you. I also post regularly encouraging content and different workshops that I do, and just different things that I will like YouTube videos and etc. I'll share on that group so that you can also reap the benefit of them. And you're also welcome to share your experiences and to find encouragement in that community with like-minded homeschoolers, and and hopefully you can find a way to be active on that group also to help you out. So let's dive into today's session, where we'll be building on the insights from the past session and find practical strategies for your upcoming school year. Welcome to Sherwin, who just came in. I just introduced myself, and I'm also recording this, so I'll be sending a recorded copy to everyone tomorrow or the next day. Okay. If you have any questions, please just pop them in the chat group, and I'll answer them probably more towards the end of the session. If anything is wrong, like if you can't hear me, let me know. Um, or if you can't, I don't know. If you have any difficulty, please let me know. I'll try to fix it if I can. Okay, so for today, I don't know how many of you finished the homework that I had given you last time. I had asked you if you wanted to go through your SWOT analysis. I don't know if anybody remembers what the SWOT analysis was. It is SWOT analysis is your finding your strengths, finding your weaknesses, and then finding opportunities that you can implement in this new year. And then also, I asked you to find some threats to your homeschooling. Um, what could be a threat to your homeschool? Could it be your relationship with your children? Could it be lack of organization? Could it be, and there's no way a new baby would be any kind of threat, but it could be a threat to your homeschool in the sense that you may be tired more often. All those kind of things that can come up in this year that may cause you problem. So I asked you to find a way to uh, what was your actual SWOT, um, and and I hope you did that. If you did, um, then that will give you a good way to look into how to find also your strengths and how to deal with the homeschool year, whether you need to give yourself more grace because you've had a new baby, or maybe you have a different weakness, an illness, or maybe you're exhausted and you don't quite know how you're going to cope with the new year. So then you need to give yourself a lot of grace. Um, uh, Sorry, I just gotta make sure I find the right one here. Okay, so it seems to me that I have my wrong book here. So I'm going to go get a different one. Um, the one I made up. I hope you have that. Uh, sorry about this. I just want to make sure I have the right workbook. Um, I apologize for this. This is not what I had in mind at all. This part two here. And I'm not super good with technology, so this is a bit of my problem here. Um, okay. So this is supposed to be in a, um, I just really apologize for this. This is the right one, but I just have to make sure I can share it with you. If not, we may have to just, we may just have to just, I'm hoping then you have the book instead of me sharing it. Um, okay, so we were going to go over those different SWOT and SMART things. We were reflecting on those things. Those were the homework I give you. And I also asked you to do a bit of self-care. Um, so as we overview um, workshop one, we need to reflect on what went well with our children last year, what challenges we faced, recognize the growth in both you and your children and yourself as a homeschool mom. We went over the SWOT analysis and the SMART analysis, and then we also addressed burnout. We tried to understand the signs and causes of burnout, and I asked you to develop some self-care strategies that would help you, including daily habits, spiritual practices, and mental health exercises. And then I give you some reflection questions on what was the most significant insight that you gained from the workshop that we had last week. Um, and and have you been able to implement them? In the comments, if you could just implement them, and um, and then we can see how that goes. Because someone said they unfortunately weren't able to view the replay nor able to download the workbook for the webinar. I think there's a technical hiccup. Okay, I'll look into that. I'm going to send out a whole new email tomorrow with both workbooks from tonight and the last one, and then also will be a recording of the last workshop and this workshop. So keep your eye out for that, and we'll be able to hopefully straighten that out. If you have any detail or difficulties with anything, I do have I think I have my email on the workbook, or if you can contact me. My email is Susie at nearstillwaters.ca. Just if you can write that down for a moment, Susie at nearstillwaters, then we can we can write that down and write it down and contact me, and I'll make sure you get everything you need because I have it all. If there is a technical hiccup, I'm going to figure it out and we're going to get it to you. Okay. So how do you create a daily schedule? Um, um, it would just be so nice if I could share this, especially if there's someone here who can't. Um, I'm actually going to, this is very unprofessional, but I'm going to call my son for help and see if he can help get it caught back up. Um, okay, so um, it's important to allocate a specific time slot for subjects and activities. So everybody uses a different way to homeschool. I was more um, I in those days. I don't think there was as many different ways to homeschool as what there is nowadays. We often just would allocate different times from 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock. I think mostly I tried to get my homeschooling done from 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock because those were the hours I had, and those worked best. Especially working around little children. Um, I was always able to fit most of my school into that time. But there's still a lot of learning that goes on outside of those hours. So if you get your 3 hours, like reading, writing, and arithmetic, into those hours with maybe some science and history, then you're doing really well. You can continue to learn outside um, of those hours with just regular things that you would teach them. Like you can teach them math when you're baking. You can teach them responsibility with cleaning the household, and you can time block all that stuff. I was quite I tried hard to time block because sometimes I also struggled with burnout. So sometimes I didn't have the energy always to work as I felt like it or as I had the energy to. So um, it was important for me to uh, allocate times for homeschooling, for getting my work done. It was important for me to make sure that I had a support system so that I could do the things that needed to be done. Um, Erica, thank you for joining. For some reason, my presentation is not showing up here, so that's a bit of a difficulty. I might be able to move this over into here. Maybe I could do this. That's not perfect, but now you can see it at least. Um, so yeah, so that's how I would homeschool. I was quite I tried to be really organized because it was important to me. Um, so when you make a schedule, you need to be realistic about scheduling. Like don't frustrate yourself by overscheduling, and not only yourself but your children also. Don't overschedule. Uh, Include breaks that and downtime because it's really important for preventing burnout, um, and allow flexibility for unplanned events or activities. Maybe you have a small child, maybe there's an illness, maybe you can't get up as early because you're exhausted or you've had trials throughout the night or whatever. But be aware that you can be flexible, but you can have a flexible schedule. I always say have a flexible schedule because if you don't schedule, you will probably fail as far as trying to get what you want done. Um, but give yourself grace. That's all I can say is give yourself grace in that aspect. So I just included a template here. Um, I probably wouldn't have followed this template, but I thought it might be helpful for somebody because um, it gives like an hour, it time blocks. There's many different things you can use technologically for time blocking. I use Trello, but there is a learning curve to it. And once you learn it, it's really, really helpful because you can move tasks from one place to the other. And if you don't get something done, you can move it to the next day. And if you decide you don't want to do something, you can just delete it. So I find it very helpful. But here I set up a bit of a template as a daily a schedule template. So find your morning routine. Do earlier in the morning as you eat breakfast, do a devotional. Um, you can do your Bible during breakfast. I always found that when I sat down with the kids with breakfast, we would sit down and do a devotional. We would read, we would pray, and then we would go on to the rest of the school day. Um, find out what you want to accomplish in the first hour of your school. Mostly your kids will be the freshest the first day of school or the first hour of school. So figure out what you can do. I always try to have my workbooks out the night before to the page that the kids could had to do. So if they had to do a page of math and page of reading, I would set it all out and it would be sitting at their desk. I was thankful I didn't have a large house, but along the side of the kitchen table I had desks for the kids. And I'm going to delve into that a little bit later in this workshop about how to organize your homeschool space according to what you can. Um, I put math as the first thing to do because I always struggled with math. It may be reading for you where it's a real struggle for you to get reading done. So, but I always did math first with the kids and then reading and grammar and that kind of a thing. So by 9:30, 10, sometimes it was earlier, we were done with a fair bit of the hard stuff. And that would be a good time to get up and stretch. I never did this, but I know one homeschool mom that she would go out every day with the kids and do a lap around the property so that they all got their blood running and some energy out. And she also found that it clarified her head when she went outside and just did a little run. I think probably I would have been more apt to send the kids out and sit down myself with a cup of coffee at that moment. And even if you can't go outside, if the weather is bad, I'm here in Southern Ontario, and we would just maybe spend some time playing with toys or stretching, just different gymnastics, a little bit of a gym class just to get everybody moving again. And then we'd head back to school. Some days we didn't do that. Some days we didn't take the break because I had to rush through because I had things in the afternoon appointments. And if our concentration was really good, I would just keep going because it was going well. You wanted it to keep going well. Sometimes if you took a break, it was chaotic for a while again. Okay, so after your break, you can do your science, geography, history, and anything and I always did science, history, geography together. All the children did it together because they're going to learn it all at some point in time. The worksheets for the young ones can be almost nothing, and then the work for the older ones can be whatever you choose, or if the book, just go by the book, make it more difficult or whatever, however it works for you, but try to do it together. That works for some people. Some people just need it clear cut, and this needs to be my age group. Child needs to have their own workbook. Then you can work separately, but work it together as in you're doing it all together. And then they have history, art project time, and wrap up and review in the afternoon. I squish that all into the mornings, and I was able to get most of it done because in the afternoon I try to work with different kinds of learning. I try to do outdoor learning, or baking, or we try to do house cleaning. I try in the afternoon from 1 to 2, I always took a rest. We always had time away from each other. It was important for us to have time away from each other because that way when we got back together after the rest, we were able to enjoy being together again. It was like a break from each other, and then we were able to play well. And I found that it just meant less bickering um, than before. So, yeah. Here's my son. I'm just going to see if he can fix this or if we'll just leave it like this. Should we just leave it like this? And I'm just going to do this then.
Oh, I see what's going on.
Well, we can just leave it like this. It's working. They can see it then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So then I also did a weekly overview template. And that's more just for you to help you figure out what you want to accomplish in the week. So which subjects do you want to do on Monday, and activities do you want to do Monday? And then just go through the week, figuring out what subjects you would like to do, and so that you can make a kind of a flexible routine of how to do things. Of course, as homeschool moms, time management is of utmost importance. Um, because that seems to be what we have the least of, and because there's always so many things to do. So I was always, like I said, I block specific periods for focused work. So before school in the morning, I would make sure all the children had their beds made and their rooms tidied. So that was our first chore. Before breakfast, we just all tidied our bedrooms, got the laundry in the hallway and in a basket. And then I took it down and I would start the laundry for the day. That was just a given. That's how I would organize my every single day. I had 7 children, so we had a lot of laundry. So at least it was washed and dried. And by the time school was over, one of us could, or we could allocate a time in the afternoon to do um, the laundry folding. So laundry never became a huge problem because I was keeping up with it constantly. There was days, of course, where we were away or we got behind, but then at least it was washed and dried and we could fold it the next day. But laundry was kind of something that we stayed on top of because, of course, laundry is never ending when you have a bunch of kids. And if you don't stay caught up, you're going to get behind and the task is going to be overwhelming. Um, Another thing is in the evening before I went to bed, I would always make sure that, so from 8 to 9 or 7 to 8, whatever works for you when the kids are in bed, I would make sure the house was tidy and breakfast at least was considered. It didn't necessarily mean that I had the table prepared or anything like that, but maybe I would do some overnight oatmeal or something that was really quick for the morning. So it was there. I was talking to a mom this past week, and she has little children, and her husband, she only has one vehicle. So she was wondering how to work meal planning and that. And I told her what would be a good thing for her to do would to be make a grocery or a meal list. So what are we going to have for every meal of the week? Do that on Saturday, and then maybe I don't know if you have that, but I know here we have Instacart and we get our groceries right to the door. So have the groceries delivered on Monday, and then you have everything in the house. You don't have to fuss with the idea of planning the meal because planning fatigue is really real. The less you have to plan when you're tired and busy, the better it is going to be for all of you. Because you're going to say, okay, I don't have to think about it tonight. Tonight we're having spaghetti. Tomorrow night we're having meatloaf. And you can have on Sunday night, you can take out Monday night's meal. You don't have to plan for it because it's all done already for you. It's just a matter of taking that half an hour and um, and making the meal or hour, whatever it takes. I know when I had children, I picked things on a rotational basis. So basically, I was not very creative, and maybe that doesn't work for you, but for me, it worked. Um, I would just do a meal uh, like every night I would have like for a week I had a week's plan of meals and every night it would be the same thing. So Monday nights we'd have spaghetti, Tuesday nights we'd have meatloaf. I think Thursday nights we were away, so I would choose something really quick like homemade macaroni, that kind of a thing. And then Friday nights was often a more relaxed evening, so I would make them more. And my husband wasn't always home in the evenings for supper, so he worked quite a few hours. We have our own business, and so he had to be there for his business. And I would Friday nights he was always home, and Saturday nights and Sunday nights. So those were the nights that I would make a more spectacular meal, or maybe a bit more expensive meal like steak or whatever, depending on what we could afford at that particular time. So um, so that's how I operated. I just did just 7 meals I made, and I did the same thing. It went really well. And if it was during the summer and I had a bit more time, I could deviate from that. Or if my husband wanted a certain meal that he hadn't had in a long time, well, I could work that into. So be flexible also in that area. Just realize that you can make a plan. Plan doesn't always work out, but having a plan will help you not to fail in that area of your life. So yeah, so I was also, if you look up the Eisenhower matrix to prioritize tasks, I don't know if any of you are familiar with that, but it's basically a color-coded, um, it's a color-coded system where you have, like, you put everything in like, it's a square basically, and you put everything in four categories. So it's top priority, um, next priority, and then the end would be like basically the delete priority of tasks. So write down all your tasks for the day that you need, and then put them in this matrix. Color code the tasks, and so that you know, like red will be the top priority, blue will be next priority, green will be the next priority, and orange is it can basically doesn't have to be done. But if you have time that it works out, it would be nice to get it done. So that's really cool way to do that. Um, like, so if you have a last minute due date of something that has to be done, of course, that will be top priority. Um, those kind of things. If you want to go look it up, go look it up. It's quite interesting, and it works quite well. I also told you, or I told was said sooner that a little while ago that I use Trello, which is an online program, and that's how I organize my day even today. As I work through my business, I use Trello, and I find it to be very effective in helping me keep things organized and to get the tasks completed that I need to get completed on a day-to-day basis. So, coming to that, I have a few questions for you for help to help you reflect. What are the biggest challenges for you? Do you, if you can, um, put them in the chat, and I'll address them. Okay. Um, yeah. So, yeah. So, and then, how do you think you can overcome these challenges? What would help you overcome them? So, I also the next page here, I have another template. It's a time management template. So it's more of a time blocking template. Um, again, was the time block was 8 to 10 in the morning is more focused work, which I very much did. Um, and then I did from 10:30 to 12:30. I did the more creative stuff, like maybe the less, if you have a new baby, these were the things that you could take off your list and not do. And then 1 to 3 was review and practice. And if someone was having trouble with the alphabet, for example, or reading, for example, those were the times that I spent extra time with the child that needed extra help. And then from 1 to 2, we all took a break. So I just kind of made a little bit of a priority list there for you. Um, so you can put your high priority, your medium priority, and your low priority of tasks and go from there. Um, just very simple, but very effective in managing what you need to manage. Okay. Uh, that's an easy page, but I hope you get a lot of use from it in your day-to-day use. And if you haven't received a workbook yet, I'll make sure you get that workbook. Okay, so next thing we're going to go is into the learning environment. And I'll get down to that page for you. Hmm. Don't want to go to curriculum planning yet. This is not as good as a presentation, for sure. But at least you can see what I'm trying to talk about. Okay, so let's go on to curriculum planning because it looks like that's the next one here. Okay, so curriculum planning. Now, everyone, of course, is going to have a different curriculum and a different idea of what you would need to do. When we were when my kids were young, we leaned heavily into Bob Jones. Um, it just worked well for us because some of my kids struggled with math. So so Becca didn't work. I did try that with some of the older kids, but we quickly abandoned it. Um, so you need to keep in mind when you're picking a curriculum, and I'm assuming that maybe most of you have your curriculum planned, but this may help you as you go through your school year. Um, you need to learn your child's learning style. There's audio learner, there's a visual learner, and there's a kinesthetic learner. So an audio learner, of course, this speaks for itself. An audio learner will learn um, more from listening to things. A visual learner will like to have the maps and stuff on the walls so that they'll be able to see exactly what you're doing. I think I'm a visual learner myself. I learn well from YouTube videos. So yeah, if I need to learn something, I just get on YouTube and I figure it out because otherwise I can't just necessarily read something and figure it out. Like an instruction booklet does not work for me. And a lot of my kids were like that too. One was also an audio learner. He was dyslexic, and we found that reading was difficult for him. So what we did with him was we did audiobooks all the time. He would go to sleep with audiobooks. When we were out in the vehicle, we would have audiobooks. And to this day, he's 22 now. Um, he listens to audiobooks at work, and he drives a lot, and he's very well rounded, and he has a great job, and he listens to his audiobooks still today rather than reading. So that's just something to consider. It's really important to figure that out, and then when you figure that out, then you can figure out how you're going to use the curriculum you have. So whatever curriculum you've chosen, it's important to first figure out what kind of learner your child is. Um, and then I think you'll be able to see what you can do in the upcoming year by what worked last year. So did learning how to read work well, or was it difficult? Did you have difficulty with certain subjects, or do you perceive certain difficulties that you may have with certain subjects? I'm not sure if we have new moms on or older moms that have been doing school for many years, but if you have not homeschooled, as teacher, get your children, young children, and figure out really where they are. Sometimes they tend to be a mixture of both. So a kinesthetic learner will be one that will learn their times tables bouncing on a trampoline better than if you were to set them down at the table or desk um, and try to make them say it to you. So just be really creative. It may seem like a lot of work, but if you do things according to their learning style, in the end, it's going to require less work because they're going to learn quicker. So I can't even say enough of how important it is for you to learn your children's learning style. If you need more information on that, figuring out their learning style, I can help you with that. Just get in contact with me, and I'll try to walk you through a few things, and then you can figure that out. It's just really, really important. Is there anything new that you want to explore this year? Like, do you want to do a new science curriculum? Do you want to do a unit study? Do you want to begin to do things together as a family to learn science, history, and geography, those electives? Do you want to do outside art, or maybe you want to hire a piano teacher to teach piano? Those kind of things are things that you may want to begin to explore as you get more into learning and homeschooling. I also just left a curriculum mapping template here for you. Um, I think it could be helpful. It would have been helpful for me if I had this. So what do you want to, you need to break your subjects down. You need to figure out what you want to accomplish with your year. So do you have a curriculum with 100 lessons, or are you just saying, oh, I'll just do as many as I feel like doing? But map out what you want to accomplish. Do you want them to know their multiplications by the end of the year? What do you think they need to accomplish? So for each child, take one of these pages and break down the subjects to exactly what you wished to accomplish in the year, and then work back. So do you want to take 2 weeks off at Christmas? Do you want to take 4 weeks off to go on a holiday in January? Or so then break it down so that you're going from maybe from September to June with a 4 week break, and you still accomplish all 100 lessons or 150. I think I tried to accomplish 180 lessons in the school year. I I always went back to school the beginning of August, like we would have been back to school by now, because I always found if I was rural and we had a garden, and we had 3 acres outdoors. So there was a lot of work come May to get the place cleaned up, get the gardens in, get the flower beds together. So I always tried to slow down with school in May because everybody was tired of the bookwork school by then. So that was when I took my school outdoors. So outdoors we did the gardening and the flower beds and the landscaping and whatever else needed to be done with the animals. So that was the time that I wanted to be free to teach the outdoor things and the practical things to the children. So I always schooled from August to May, and I tried to get half of my lessons done that I wanted to get done by Christmas. We took several weeks. Other people will do like 6 weeks on, 1 week off. It depends on how it goes for you. There's a variety of ways of doing things. Just remember that this is your school. You can do what you like. You don't have to follow me. You don't have to follow the regular traditional school cycles. You can follow your own cycle. And that's a really important thing to remember, that you are in the driver's seat and you can do what you like. But these just different templates will help you map out what you want to accomplish, because again, you need to have a plan. I also did quarterly goals. So if from September to November, I had a certain set of goals of where I wanted to go. From December to February, I had certain set of goals. I always found from December to February, everybody was a little worn out. It was easier to take things a bit easier by then. And if you wanted to take your week off, to do it during that February time, because that's when everybody was tired. And then again, from March to May, that's as far as I went. And I found then you also again had renewed energy because you knew that the end was coming. They knew the end was coming. So sometimes they would double work their school and they'd be done, by the end of April rather than by the end of May. So um, those were just what I experienced, and you will experience your own things. So how do we create an effective learning space? Well, everybody has a different learning space. And for myself, I went through many different types of learning phases and spaces. And I would actually love to be homeschooling right now because I have so many ideas. And I I would go to Pinterest really for different ideas. For many years, I just homeschooled at the kitchen table, but you had to find a way to organize your school things. I did not like a lot of clutter. It just really for me, it bothered me. It was a stressful situation when I had clutter. So I really tried to make sure I had a space for everything. I know for a while I had desks lined along the wall beside the kitchen table. It was a dining room actually, so that every child had their own desk and it was an individual situation in the young years. And then the wee little ones, like I had 4 children within 5 years, and then I had a 5 year break and I had 3 children with well, there's 18 months between my fifth and my sixth, and between my sixth and my seventh, there's 11 months, really close. So the wee ones would come and sit at the table with me and I'd work with them. And then the older 4 would sit at the desks and do their work. As they got older, that changed again, and we ended up making an addition because we kept having babies. So we only had one bathroom, and it was too difficult with 7 children to have one bathroom. So we created an addition which had a kitchen in it, and then my kitchen originally was my homeschool room. And the older kids by then were in high school. So we had them doing video courses. So they all had to go into the individual rooms. So that may be a situation you find yourself in, that you're doing a video course of sorts. Maybe you have to have each of them in their own room. But maybe you want them handy also, so you have them with earplugs and a laptop. That also worked. Yeah, we had ours coming in through satellite at the time, so we had to tape all the courses, and then we had to put them on disc and then put them into the disc player. It was pretty old fashioned. We had not any of that today. Everything is much more technologically advanced than it was in those days. But it was a lot of work and a lot of organization. Thankfully, my older son was very technical, and he was able to run most of that, and I could just ask him to do it. So I don't know if I could have accomplished that, but he did, and I'm thankful that we had him to do that. So so that's what I would say is your learning environment needs to change as your homeschool changes. It needs to change as your homes change. I know homeschool moms that have been in 5 different homes during their homeschool journey and have had to change everything. And my resource to you today would be to check Pinterest out. There's a lot of different fun organizational methods on there that are just would be great to include into your homeschool um, ideas. So I also give you another template here. It's a learning environment template. You can just make a small drawing of what you would like, and then make a list of the materials you need. If you are on a budget, you can find materials cheaply. It's getting to the point where there's quite a few garage sales. I did a lot of garage selling when I had my children were young, and I think most of my homeschool equipment came from garage sales. So work through that, and when you get your workbook, if you don't have one. So I'm just going to delve a little bit deeper into the types of learners, because I do feel it's quite important. I do actually have a program that is specifically deals with different child development and learning skills. You can contact me about that program too. So, so the visual learner learns best through seeing. The auditory learner, of course, learns best through hearing, and the kinesthetic learner learns best through doing. So identify your child's learning style, and then list the tailored teaching methods that you can use to support each learning style. You may have all kinds of different learners. You may have to do some thinking on that. So I would encourage you to do that over the next week, is to find out which style of learning your child does, and then find out ways that you can adapt their teaching methods to their needs. It will save you time in the long run. If you need any help with that, please reach out to me. My website is nearstillwaters.ca. You can contact me in there, or yeah, just contact me on there, nearstillwaters.ca. You can either email me through there, or you can book a free one-on-one call with me on there, whatever you choose to do. So here's a learning style template. I added another template because I love templates. And then I added just how to tailor the teaching method to your child. So you use visual aids like charts for the visual learner, incorporate audiobooks and verbal instructions. So when I was telling you that I did not do well on my learning instruction I don't do well on instructions that come with things. Well, verbal instructions might do it, but for me, it's more, I need to see it. And then the kinesthetic, of course, is more like incorporating movement and experiments and activities into your teaching methods. Navigating life transitions. So make sure you'll be prepared for changes. And so all of the stuff that I've said, the schedulizing, do it all, but be prepared to be flexible. Things change. Days can be difficult. I actually have a homeschool mom that I know right now who has had to put her homeschool on hold because her 11-year-old has cancer. So like I hope none of you ever has to go through that. But and I thankful I never had to go through that. But she's really had to put her homeschool on hold. So those, but she has adapted to it, and she teaches, in the hospital room when he's going through chemo, and her other children have learned to become independent, and she's taught them independent means to teach them to be independent day to day. They're a bit older. Thankfully, it's her youngest that she's dealing with cancer because if you had a bunch of younger children, it would be hard to navigate that. I myself struggled with burnout. We at that time we went to Switched on Schoolhouse, which is completely online. All the marking was done online, and the lessons were done online. So I did not get behind a marking because of my low energy. The marking was done for me. And would I choose to do that if I had a choice? No, I wouldn't have done that if I had a choice, but I didn't. I did not want to send them to school. I wanted the kids to stay home with me, but I didn't have the energy and the focus to be able to homeschool like I had homeschooled original before that. So when I went through that time of burnout, we used Switched on Schoolhouse. It worked very effectively. They received an education. Did they receive the education I would have liked them to receive? No, but we did the best with what we had. And that's all you can do. That's all I could do at the time. And that's all you can do. You can only do your best. And you have to gauge that. That's why I talked so strongly about burnout last time, because avoiding burnout, self-care is so important. I didn't realize that my pot would empty someday, and that it would affect our homeschool so severely. And I think to this day, I'm not really the person I always was, because I burnt out and I had to come back from it. And somehow I'm just not the same person. I have lots of energy again, and I'm good, but it took me a long time to overcome it. And no, I'm still not who I was before. So um, if you can, plan ahead for these disruptions. So, okay, we have a special doctor's appointment on Thursdays. Maybe Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we'll do Thursday schoolwork. I did do that a lot too, if I had appointments. Um, what if you're moving? That's a whole new thing. Plan some time off. Plan to have certain work done before you move, uh, so that you can enjoy that move without having to feel guilty about the actual book work. Let me tell you though, that when you're moving, there's still lots of learning going on with your kids. So involve them in the process. And that is what homeschool is about. Not just teaching the books, it's about teaching them how to live their life so that they have a love for learning and want to love learning all their life. You don't want your children to stop learning when they're 18 years old, when they leave your home. You want them to continue to learn, because it's important to learn all our life. Every day, um, I myself personally try to take time to learn something new, because it keeps us motivated and it keeps us healthy to keep learning. So if you create a love for learning, they will want to continue to learn. So if you can see some transitions coming in your new year, write them down and work around them. And so figure out how you can prepare your family for any transitions that you may be coming up with this year. So here is again, I had a life transition template. Um, so figure out which transitions you're going to have to deal with this year, and and then plan for them. Planning is so important in homeschooling, in all of life, but especially in homeschooling. So again, I'd like to say thank you for listening to me again. I really, really appreciate you coming to listen to me and to hear what I have to say. I really, truly just want to help you, the homeschool mom, find your way in a much better way than um, if you didn't have the support you needed. So here I am. It's my mission to support you. So please take advantage of that support that I'm willing to offer, and book your free one-on-one consultation with me. And and then maybe we can find some solutions to any of the difficulties or questions you may have in the new year. And then again, also connect with the Facebook group. It's called, I think, the Homeschool Mom Burnout Group. But I'll put that link in the email that's coming out, and then you can go on and become part of that and receive encouragement on a day-to-day basis. Um, Does anybody have any questions? I'm done with um, what I have here, but one mom said homeschooling is not for the faint of heart. And um, Sherwin, I think last time you said um, feeling burnt out can affect someone's positive outlook on life, and that's definitely true. Um, okay, so I appreciate. I'm thankful you have the handouts, and we're going to make sure that you get them if you don't have them. Staying organized can be challenging, and I know it can be challenging because there's so much to do. It never ends really. Like when you're homeschooling, you have to be there, all hands on deck. You don't really get a break, and that's why I really I really tell you that um, you must take time for yourself. So Bob Jones is a course. Someone said, can you clarify who Bob Jones is? So Bob Jones, it's not Jones as in Jonas, it's Bob Jones, Jones, Jones. Um, and they have I'm just gonna, I could just maybe put a link in. So it's BJU Press curriculum. So if you look that up, BJU Press curriculum, they're a curriculum of they're 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 very organized, and I found them to be a little bit less difficult than a Becca. I don't know if a Becca is still something people use, but that was what was really big when I was homeschooling. So we went to Bob Jones because it was a little bit less difficult, and they offered um, that you could be taught through the classes of their classes. So they would record classes, and you could put them on for your kids, and they could listen to it. And then the workbook came with it, so you could work with them. So Bob Jones is BJU Press curriculum. So you're welcome, Sherwin. So yeah, I don't have anything more to say. I hope that this has been an encouragement to you. Uh, it,
I want to say,
Homeschooling,
Susie,
yeah,
it's Sherwin and I were it's husband and wife here with you. I didn't realize it was
okay,
just the three of us.
okay,
Um, but no, I want to just clarify without having to type it all out. I like how that your handouts kind of give a framework to work within, kind of to check in as well.
yes,
I just
yeah,
wanted to emphasize that. And another note with the Abeka, I think some people, other people in our homeschool group were saying it's very intense
it is.
kind of thing.
It is
So
very intense. Yeah.
we definitely like a little bit more of a laid back approach and just
Hmm.
keeping it. Yeah, but I like the encouragement with the 3 R's. Like our son is only he's turning 5 in September, so
Yeah.
we're just trying to keep that focus, reading the 3 R's and then Bible kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
So yeah. And that's
mhm.
enough, like for a 5-year-old, that's definitely enough. And if you can get yourself into the routine and him into the routine of just a learning mindset for even a couple hours a day or an hour a day, whatever works for him. Do you know what learning style he is?
Oh, he's definitely visual and audio, hands
Oh,
down.
that's
Like he remembers everything you say, and how he'll come back to a situation about give the detail of what he saw and everything. Very visual, very audio.
well, that's really cool then. And then yeah, so do you know which curriculum you're going with at all, or have you not?
We're trying
You,
we're trying to keep it very, very simple. So I did purchase that book from the Learning House, the 3 R's,
yeah,
because they give exercises like just reading the reading and writing, spelling and what have you from the Bible,
yeah.
exercises like that. And then I think I'm doing for math, we are doing a what do you call it? It's creation one. I
Okay.
think it's a creation one and level one. And
Okay,
then
nice.
there's a reading program that Sherwin purchased. So where it's a little intense, but that with the 3 R's is kind of helpful. And
Yeah.
then we're also getting into something called classical conversations
Well, that's
for
really
this
cool.
fall. Yeah, we're excited about that because it has some social aspects. It's another, like we only have the one, everybody in homeschooling seems to have more than one child, but we have the one
Yeah.
so far. So
Yeah.
we do try to emphasize the class, like, the social learning as well with different
Yeah.
ages. So we
Yeah.
like with our homeschool group and classical
Well,
conversations, we're hoping that meets that.
yeah, so it's good that you have a homeschool group, right? Like that's
Hmm.
especially if he is an only child. Like, but that's a
Yeah.
wonderful opportunity to spend much time with them. Like we had seven, and that individual time you had to really um make make the moments to do that, to spend the time with that each individual child, so that they got what they needed from you. But having one child in that say way is an advantage, and that you can really get to know that child. And it sounds like
Hmm.
if he's audio and visual, you'll be able to really go places with him, and that's wonderful.
Right.
He's a very
Yeah.
fortunate young boy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for the encouragement.
Yes. So yeah, so if you have any questions for me at any point in time, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I will try to make sure that I send this recording out tomorrow to everyone who signed up, because there are people who signed up who were not able to make it, and that's fine. We'll get them to sign up. And I'm sorry about the presentation. It should have been so much better, but hopefully you still gleaned something from it.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you, and have a wonderful night. And praying that you all have a good homeschool year.
Thank you, Susie.
We'll see you
Thank you,
later.
Susie.
We'll
Great
see you
job.
later. Okay, thank you. We'll see you later,
Okay.
guys. Bye.
All right.
Bless
Bye,
you.
guys.